Good evening. I'll give it a moment or two, see if anyone is able to join me live tonight on this lovely sunny evening. I did say when I said about going live tonight, I hope the sun will be shining, and it's turned out to be a beautiful afternoon on this spring day. I think we can sort of call it spring now. It certainly seems a lot warmer. Sun has been shining the past couple of days, and I'm recording this on the 16th of March. So, you know, we're pretty much into spring now. Thank goodness, getting the winter behind us. And I felt it was important tonight to go back over some ground that I've covered before around about vitamin D and should we be supplementing it. And I know it may appear that I sort of bang on about vitamin D quite a lot, but I really felt it was important to provide an update about this, particularly in the year we've just had with COVID infections and hospitalizations and deaths, and some of the studies that have been done linked to vitamin D, but more generally some information about why we need vitamin D across the whole body and its links to health and gut health and systemic health everywhere. It's such an extremely overlooked nutrient, and that's why I just wanted to talk about it again tonight. And I'm sure if you've seen any of my other posts about vitamin D and other videos or podcasts about vitamin D, I am sure you're going to learn something new tonight. And just before I go any further, I would just like to remind you, if you're not already a member of my Facebook group, Inspired Lifestyle Choices, then please come and join, because some of you will be watching this on my YouTube channel. And do invite your friends. It's my mission to provide as much useful, helpful, educational information that's easy to understand to help you take control of your health and to really pass on more and more information about the importance of taking care of your digestive and gut health as well. So let me get into my topic tonight. It's spring, and is it really necessary to start supplementing or continue supplementing vitamin D now? Are you at risk of deficiency? Now, many people, what we've been taught over a number of years, if you're not aware of it, is that we should supplement vitamin D through the winter months. And I'll just briefly explain a little bit about this and what is vitamin D and why it's important to think about supplementing vitamin D in the winter, but now more and more why we should think about supplementing all year round. So what is vitamin D? Well, it is a vitamin, but it's also a hormone in the body. It's got quite a unique role. So it's a vitamin, but when it comes into contact with the skin and it goes through a conversion process in the body and becomes a hormone. Now, what hormones do in the body is they latch onto specific receptor cells. So cells have receptors on their outside and they send out a message. It's like a lock and key, if you like. And the hormone locks onto the receptor. So, you know, it's got a specific lock and key action. And the hormone then locks onto these receptors. And we are finding that there are more and more receptors around the body, vitamin D receptors specifically around in the cells around the whole body, which is why we're learning so much about its fundamental roles. So it is a vitamin, hence it's called vitamin D, but in contact through the skin, when it comes into contact with the skin and goes into the body and through the liver, it is converted into a hormone. And hormones, when they latch onto cells, they send out a message. They give out an instruction to the cell to undertake certain performances within that cell. So that's why it's got so many different roles. Now, there's different types of, you may buy supplements and hear about vitamin D2, but it's vitamin D3, and it's vitamin D3 that has the main affinity in the body and its main uses, and that's the one when we're going to supplement that we want to have. It's vitamin D3. Now, we hear about needing it through the winter months and not so much in the summer, although I'm now going to challenge that. You know, why is it that we need to supplement vitamin D3 in the winter? Well, we don't get much from our food. It's a fat-soluble vitamin, so you'll find a little bit in butter and in oily fish and a little bit in eggs. So it's found in fatty foods. Now, of course, many people, not that I agree with it, don't consume nearly enough fatty foods. But even if we do, we don't get much vitamin D from those foods. Our main source of vitamin D3 is from direct exposure to sunlight with the sun, and it's the UVB rays coming into contact with the skin. Now, when we have suntan lotion on, and of course, you know, we've been taught over the years we need to protect our skin, and ladies will often use face moisturizers with sun protection in to help protect against aging and wrinkles, and I understand that. But we're also taught that sunshine is a cause of cancer and skin cancer. So over the years, in more recent years, 10, 20 years, we tend to smother up with suntan lotion. So even when we do get exposure to the sun, there's not much that comes into contact with the skin. And I found a study that says when we're using SPF 15, sun protection factor 15, it reduces the ability for the uptake of vitamin D3 by the skin by 99%. So you can see that if we're on holiday and we're sunbathing and we're putting on sun protection, then we're not even getting the vitamin D from the sunshine, because we've put a barrier in place so it can't get absorbed in contact with the skin because of the sun protection factor. And for darker skins, particularly those people who live in the UK or in these northern hemisphere countries with the higher pigmentation of melanin, well, it protects against the sun. So those darker skins have even less exposure to sunshine. And of course, in the UK, we get such little sunshine, even in the summer months, that it could be very, very difficult. And it's more likely that those with darker skins are going to have even lower levels of vitamin D in the body. Now, in the summer months, you know, we can get the exposure if we're prepared to expose our skin to a little bit of sunshine without suntan lotion on. That's really important to get our vitamin D. But we don't want to burn, of course. But we don't get a lot of sunshine, and for older people in particular who are spending a lot of time indoors, and if we're working a lot, we're spending time indoors, if we don't have the sort of job where we're outside, our amount of time we're in the sunshine is very limited, even through the summer months. So this is why, with all I'm learning about its roles in the body, why I'm reading more and more studies that said actually we need to be supplementing all year round. If you don't know your current levels, you should be supplementing. Now, you can test, and I highly recommend testing. It's such a cheap test to do. You can go online to vitamindtest.org, I think it's called. You can easily find it. It's an NHS department. You can order a test. It's £29 and it's a finger prick blood test. There are other places that do testing too. It's very reliable, very cheap, and you'll get the results through in a few days by email. I would highly recommend doing that test to get your base level. I did mine recently. I'll tell you my score in a moment. My husband's done it. I've got some clients doing it at the moment to get their vitamin D levels. And from that, we can make a decision about how much we should supplement. Now, I've been supplementing all winter. And I'll just tell you in a moment what my score is. But I would just have a word of caution about the information that is given through this testing. So the one I use, as I said, vitamindtest.org, is reliable. It's a great test to use, but I wouldn't rely on the information they tell you in terms of what's an adequate level. They say if you've got over 50, it's adequate. If it's under 50, you're deficient. And that's a bit too black and white as far as I'm concerned. There are other vitamin D societies and organisations run by scientists and doctors, and the more they study it, the more information it's coming out to say that probably the most optimum level is 100, and the UK range is called nmol per litre, nmol, so 100. Now, so the test will say if you're only deficient if it's under 50. So if you come back with a score of 51, everything's fine. And I would disagree with that. I've seen other information out there that says that you're only going to get real health benefits if it's over 75, and you get optimum levels if it's between 100 and 150. What you don't want is to be getting levels over 200, and it can start to get dangerous and toxic above 200. Now, my score came in at 82, I think it was, and I was satisfied with that. It's the end of winter, and I have been supplementing, but I've actually upped my supplement level based on a score of 80 because I'd actually like to get it to 100. So I'm not concerned, but I know it could be better the more I understand about its roles in the body. The Canadian Society, Vitamin D Society in Canada, of course, a northern country that has low levels of sunshine right through the winter months. They're the ones that recommend a level of between 100 and 150. So test it and see what your scores are. And from that, it's you can then start to work out how much you should supplement. And there is a view now that is completely different to NHS England in terms of their recommendation of 400 IU, that we should be supplementing as a maintenance dose 1000 IU. Now, of course, if you do a test and it comes back of a level of 100 or more, you may not need 1000 IU, but I wouldn't spend the whole summer months not taking in any supplement unless you're prepared to test it again and see what your current score is. Unless you spend a lot of time in the sunshine without suntan lotion on all the time, you're at risk of that level dropping down and down and down through the summer, not actually increasing. And you really want to make sure that you're keeping your levels at those optimum amounts throughout the entire year. And it's no longer good enough to just think we only need to supplement in the winter. We need to keep our levels up at an optimum level all year round. Now, you'll find if you look on the market that you get supplements of 10,000 IU. My personal belief is when we start to supplement in higher amounts, and I would take advice before doing that, that you should take a supplement with K2. Just very briefly, vitamin D is associated with supporting the uptake of calcium from the gut and into the bloodstream. And we associate it with bone health. Of course, what we need to do is get the calcium from the gut into the bloodstream, which vitamin D helps, but we then need to get the calcium from the bloodstream and into the bone. So the concern about having a lot of vitamin D is that you get high levels of calcium being absorbed into the bloodstream, but that calcium doesn't necessarily go into the bone. And it's one of the reasons for vitamin K being recommended alongside vitamin D when you're supplementing in much higher amounts, is my view, not necessarily at the 1000 IU level. I believe, and well, I know there's other nutrients important for bone health, but the risk, if it's not just about osteoporosis, if you don't get the calcium into the bone, the risk is associated with high levels of calcium. Your bones may have enough, but if you've been taking more calcium up from the gut into the bloodstream, but there isn't the ability to take it from the bloodstream and into the bone, what happens to that calcium? And it can calcify in your arteries, which is why there is a potential risk between high vitamin D intake, calcium intake, and cardiovascular disease. So it's a small risk, but it's a risk to be aware of. And I would say that risk only comes about if you're supplementing very high amounts of vitamin D. So 1000 IU is the one that's recommended as a maintenance dose pretty much all year round, particularly if you don't know your starting point and your levels through testing. And just a few reminders or some new information for you about why we need vitamin D so much. So, you know, COVID, immunity, deficiency of vitamin D, hospitalizations and deaths. There are a lot of studies out about that now. So we need to keep our vitamin D levels up for those reasons. You know, one of the concerns is that older people, as I said, don't get their skin exposed to the sun. They feel the cold more, they keep covered up more. People in care homes are not outside very much. So there is a concern that vitamin D status is actually very low. And it's one of the reasons why the NHS and the government said they should start supplementing those in care homes and more vulnerable people, although their levels were far too low. Some other reasons, though, why we just need vitamin D. And the list is pretty long, but I'm going to give you 4 health reasons why we should supplement it and need it. So gut health, yes, my favorite topic, I know, but the mucosal lining the gut needs vitamin D to keep that mucosal lining strong. If that mucosal lining, the epithelial lining the gut isn't strong, then we can get what we call leaky gut. We can get permeability, you can get toxins passing through into the bloodstream. And when the lining of the gut isn't strong, it makes it much harder for our commensal beneficial bacteria to thrive and grow. And that can lead to what we call dysbiosis. The microbiota gets out of balance. It could potentially lead to the growth of more pathogenic bacteria. Lots of reasons why we need vitamin D for gut health, and there were some studies linking deficiency to IBD conditions, so it is important there. Depression, mood and memory, that's another interesting area of study around the need for vitamin D. And also for neurotransmitter production. Neurotransmitters is what helps with keeping us happy, keeping us calm, helping us to sleep at night. So, important for our brain health is very important. There's some links to fertility, and low vitamin D status has been associated with poor sperm mobility. So, reasons for men in particular to need vitamin D. And some links to diabetes, some strong links to diabetes now, and low vitamin D status, and how it could lead to what we call insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance. It's when our cells don't respond to insulin, and it then results in glucose circulating in high amounts in the bloodstream, hence the lead to diabetes. So 4 really, really important reasons over and above the other ones I've talked about before to do with immunity. So I believe we do need to supplement vitamin D. I think we need to consider supplementing it all through the summer months to ensure we keep our levels tip-top. We don't want our levels to be dropping down low, particularly in the current climate. But the more we understand about its links to our health in so many ways, we can't just sit here and rely on sunshine and think we're going for a walk and we've just had a bit of sunshine. It's not going to be sufficient, particularly for those in the northern hemisphere, and particularly for those of you who've got darker skin tones, it's going to be harder as well. So that's my views tonight. I hope you found that useful. My talks are all uploaded into my YouTube channel, Peyton Principles Natural Health. So you can go there and subscribe to my channel there. And if you find these talks really interesting, then please do invite your friends to come and join my group here. I'd like to grow a bigger community of people. So do invite your friends. When I see the invitations, I just do a quick check, and then usually most people are invited into the group to come and join. So thank you for your time. Hope you found it interesting. I'll be back on Friday for my Nutrition in the News at 1 o'clock on Friday lunchtime. Have a lovely week. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy this warmer weather at last, and take care. Bye.